storage devices, or cabinets filled with supplies, as well as loose equipment loaded into the patient compartment, pose many risks to patients and workers in crash events or near crash events. To reduce these risks, the federal government and industry partners work together to write 2 new test documents. As part of the process, the partners tested more than 30 storage devices or cabinets and over 40 equipment mounts. The Society of Automotive Engineers has published 2 new test methods, SAE J3043, which covers equipment mount testing, and SAE J3058, which covers testing of storage devices such as cabinets, drawers, and pouch systems. Both test methods rely on test loading, developed during vehicle crash testing to ensure equipment stays mounted and storage devices remain closed to keep contents in place in a crash event. This module covers the dangers of unrestrained objects in the patient compartment during a crash event, as well as developments in storage device and equipment mount testing. Loose flying equipment poses a real hazard to all occupants in the patient compartment. With the use of improved storage devices and mounts, this risk can be reduced.
Everything in ambulance got to be secure in case of a crash. We don't want stuff flying around when there's a crash.
Too many things are just left loose.
You never know what's going to happen to you out there, if someone's going to hit you or you're going to have an accident. It's nice to have everything knowing that it's going to stay in place and not be loose and flying object in the cabin and it's going to hit somebody.
So much more important now when we look at some of the studies and some of the scientific evidence that's been shown to us through the government, the opportunity to see what those particular pieces of equipment become in an accident. Many of those particular incidents or accidents that hurt somebody in the back of the ambulance are these moving pieces of equipment, these pieces of equipment that we as providers have to have within our arm's reach.
Our plans for loose equipment in the patient compartment is that it all be mounted so that it doesn't become a flying hazard to the patient or to the worker.
Crash investigations conducted by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, as well as those conducted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, have found that loose flying equipment has contributed to severe and sometimes fatal injuries in crash events.
So if you bring something out and you set it on the action area of the ambulance, once it's there, it's free to go wherever it wants.
We strongly encourage our associates to secure all of their equipment while the vehicle is in motion. And the simple reason for that is if you ended up in a collision, that then becomes a missile. If you look at an item such as a monitor, that's a 25-pound missile that traveling at speed could literally kill you.
The best way to reduce this risk is to store supplies and equipment in storage devices that have been properly designed and tested to handle their weight. Frequently used equipment, such as oxygen cylinders or heart monitors, should be mounted in a crash-worthy mounting device. The new test methods described in SAE J3058 require a cabinet or storage device to be crash tested to a rated load. The rated load will affect hardware, materials, and construction methods. When buying an ambulance, it is important to work with the builder to identify expected contents and their location so that the builder can provide a properly rated and tested storage device or cabinet.
First and foremost is we're asking the clientele or the end user what's going to be stored in the compartment or the cabinet, and now based on the testing that we've done, we have criteria to be able to utilize to establish what hardware we need to put in there based upon what equipment's going into the cabinet.
To retain the contents of a cabinet, we also perform sled tests. We put an ambulance wall on the sled and mounted the cabinets to those walls. We put simulated weights inside the cabinets to simulate the contents, equipment and supplies that may be in the cabinets. And what we saw was during the crash, the contents were thrusted forward into the cabinet doors. We learned that there's going to need to be some changes to many cabinets in their construction methods and in their latches, and in other cabinets they'll need minimal changes. But it was really a learning experience, something that hadn't really been done before. Manufacturers learned a lot about how cabinets and the contents of their cabinets respond in a crash.
In the future, you're going to see cabinets that are identified by weight as having a weight capacity. So some may have a very low weight capacity that would cover some of your basic supplies and bandages. Others may be designed to carry much heavier loads like O2 cylinders, AED, or other pieces of equipment.
SAE J3043, describes the testing required for an equipment mount to ensure each is crashworthy. Because of the wide variety of equipment on the market today and the potential for innovative solutions arriving tomorrow, SAE J3043 offers manufacturers static and dynamic testing options. The static testing option allows an equipment mount manufacturer to test their equipment mount using a common pull test in the front, side, and rear direction. In this test method, the equipment mount is rigidly mounted to a structure and pulled to a load based off the weight of the object it is expected to hold. Those loads are also a function of the expected location and orientation of the mount in the patient compartment.
We tested about 40 different types of equipment mounts that would be used for oxygen, different types of diagnostic equipment and monitors. Many of them performed very, very well, some of them not so well. One of the important features is how the mount is actually attached to the wall. That's one of the most important features of the design. We found that many of them have sufficient fastening techniques, but others don't. And if the equipment mount does not stay fastened to the wall, then obviously you're going to have an object flying in the ambulance compartment that could impact a person.
Older products will be phased out as a result of the new standards coming into play. But in their place are going to be higher G-level, crash-rated, effective systems for retention.
SAE J3058 and SAE J3043 have been developed to provide testing methods to ensure that supplies stowed in a cabinet or equipment immediately accessible in the patient compartment are secure in a crash. These tools allow the manufacturer to provide you with a safer work environment.
So what can you do? You should work with your ambulance manufacturer to identify the supplies and equipment you're going to carry. It's also important for your manufacturer to know where those supplies and equipment will be located so they can build the safest and most functional patient compartment for you.